Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And it's good to see you all here today. On this Easter weekend, during Passover week, having recently completed Ramadan, a time when people of all faiths are celebrating freedom, freedom and renewal. And the topic we'll be discussing today, I think, is a lot about freedom and renewal, constant renewal. So we've been reading from a text, the last fascicle that was written by Dogen of his Shobo Genzo, and the fascicle is called Jogi, which can mean continuous. Well, let me start again. What we've been reading from is the 8 qualities of a mature being. And I'll refer to the fascicle Gyogi, which was written earlier during Dogen's life, because I think it's relevant to understanding what he's talking about here. And the short section that we'll be referring to from this 8 qualities of a good person or a mature person is quality number 4, which is gan shojin, or making diligent effort. The fourth realization is one of persevering in all matters, continually striving to carry out deeds that are true and wholesome, is making diligent effort. Sho means to be energetic and concentrated, not being sloppy or crude in one's actions. Jin means to deepen and improve one's attitude without backsliding or giving up. The Buddha said, "Monks, when you practice with diligence, there is nothing that is difficult. For that reason, it is critical that you persevere in your practice. By way of illustration, it is like water flowing constantly over a rock. Even if it is just a trickle, eventually it will pierce the rock. Or, for example, if the mind of the practitioner is only sometimes energetic, but at other times lets up, it can be compared to one who, when attempting to light a fire, often stops, twirling the stick before the fire catches hold. No matter how much one may want to have a fire, no fire will result if one continues in such a way. This is called persevering and making wholehearted effort. So, diligence, perseverance, persistence, wholeheartedness. Um, the text I'm referring to includes an extensive commentary by Uchiyama, and I'd like to read just a section from his commentary on this topic of diligence. By doing zazen, we somehow imagine that we have become a success. That's also a failure. There is no success in our zazen. That is what is so subtle about it. but also what is so difficult. After all, we aim to do good zazen, take the posture and just sit. Sitting there, half slumped over is not good zazen. Letting go of whatever is in our head and just sitting straight and firmly, that is our aim. However, as we aim, is there some sort of target we're trying to hit? I'm afraid not. Aiming with all one's energy, but with no target to hit, is zazen. Even though I frequently talk about opening the hand of thought, if we think about how we are letting go, we've already lost our aim. Just entrusting everything to a zazen that takes the posture and attitude of opening the hand of thought is true shojin. So there's one other reading from Dogen. This is from the um, Gyoji, which I referred to earlier. It's called continuous practice because I think this clarifies what Dogen is talking about when he's talking about diligence and practice. Continuous practice that actualizes itself is no other than your continuous practice right now. The now of this, I'm sorry, let me start up here. Continuous practice is not necessarily something people in the world love, but it should be the true place of return for everyone. Because of the continuous practice of all Buddhas of the past, present, and future, all Buddhas of the past, present, and future are actualized. Continuous practice that actualizes itself is no other than your continuous practice right now. The now of this practice is not originally possessed by the self. The now of this practice does not come and go, enter and depart. The word now does not exist before continuous practice. The moment when it is actualized is called now. This being so, your continuous practice of this day is a seed of all Buddhas and the practice of all Buddhas. All Buddhas are actualized and sustained by your continuous practice. So, I think it's clear that Dogen here is not just talking about meditation, not just talking about Zazen practice, but it's really and continuous practice. Practice in the Dogen sense may include dutifully sitting in meditation every day. It may include that, but that's not all of it. It's really a way of life, a way of approaching every waking moment. Continuous practice. And Uchiyama emphasizes how it's not goal oriented in the usual worldly way. It's Dharma oriented. Orient refers to well, it comes from the Latin Orini, I believe, which is to rise, and it refers to the rising sun. It refers to the east. So we talk about the Orient being to the east. And we talk about being oriented as to knowing which way you are directed, being oriented with respect to north, south, east, and west. And when you're disoriented, you're confused. You don't know which way to go. I think for Dogen, when he talks about resolving the great matter of birth and death, which he did, as he said, when he was in China studying with Rujing, he found a direction. But a direction doesn't necessarily imply a worldly goal. It's just the way to go. It's not, doesn't include necessarily a destination. So in Japanese, they use the term moshotoku, which is not goal oriented. But it's not aimless either. It's not disoriented. So when we sit zazen, it's not for a particular worldly goal or even a particular spiritual goal. There's a story about Shunryu Suzuki that you may have heard before. Shunryu Suzuki came to San Francisco in 1959, so he was there during the turbulent 1960s in San Francisco and did much to popularize Zen Buddhism at the San Francisco Zen Center. But there was an occasion where there was a enthusiastic young person who came to see him and was anxious to ask a question. And the question he asked was, Suzuki Roshi, I meditate for 2 hours every day. How long will it take me to get enlightened? And Suzuki said, 10 years. And the man, being somewhat disappointed, said, well, listen, if I practice for 4 hours, if I meditate for 4 hours every day, how long will it take me to get enlightened? And Suzuki said, 20 years. So Uchiyama emphasizes how looking for a particular experience, looking for a particular thing in Zazen practice is not the point. And to generalize this, well, we say you sit Zazen for the sake of Zazen, but to generalize this, we could say you practice the Buddha way for the sake of the Buddha way. Yes, there may be some sort of object or some sort of goal, but it's always provisional. The one thing you know is practicing the Buddha way, because the future is fluid, highly uncertain, unpredictable. So any particular worldly goal is a fantasy in a way. Practicing the Buddha way, what's that? Um, Perhaps it's hard to summarize, But I think of it in terms of facing all of the changing conditions that we encounter with awareness, an open mind, and an open heart. Facing the constant flux of life with awareness, an open mind, and an open heart continually. And that takes diligence, effort. And of course, delusions are inexhaustible, so that there will be missteps. And that is the place of repentance in this practice. Recognizing missteps, recognizing our own inevitable delusions, and doing what repair we can with resolution to not make the same mistake again, even though inevitably we probably will. So, this practice of the Buddha way is not to produce 10,000 identical Buddha people, because each person has his or her own history and his or her own unique gifts to offer. So we're all different. We're all going to do things differently, think differently, act differently. In early Buddhism, the emphasis was on non-harming, ahimsa rather, non-harming. And in Mahayana Buddhism, the emphasis is on being of benefit to self and others, long-term benefit to self and others. So Dogen often relates all of this to the Buddhas and ancestors, to the wise individuals who we have encountered in one way or another, either through stories, through personal contact, through writings, all of those individuals who have been of benefit to us. And Dogen emphasizes that the finest offering of gratitude we can make to the Buddhas and ancestors, all those wise individuals that we have inherited, is to practice the Buddha way continuously to the best of our ability. So this is every waking hour, continuous practice. Does this sound realistic? Is this what you thought Buddhism would be about? Is it what you think Buddhism is about? And if so, what supports continuous practice and what gets in the way? I'll leave you with those questions and we'll go into breakout rooms and I'll see you in a few moments. Thank you all so much for being here today.